everyone. Hi.
Hello.
I've seen you before. So that was kind of an invitation to step out for a while out of the human-centric approach to the matters that we're researching, and to think in the plant world as a possible domain of maybe as much as wisdom as we may have, maybe a bit more as they've been around longer than us. And just to keep the question in your mind while we talk about plants in the addiction treatment, if we're dealing with alkaloids or with animals, with beings with intelligence, or just chemical products that cause certain effects in human mind. I'm still recovering my breath from going back and forth 2 times to my house to pick my keys under the sun, so sorry, I'm a little agitated. So I'm going to present today about traditional Amazon medicine in addiction rehabilitation. And I wanted to begin just by saying that this is not my field of research right now, and so why I'm presenting about this is just because this had a profound impact in my life and the way I see the world I inhabit, and because I believe in a respectful and comprehensive intercultural dialogue as a very important thing that we as transpersonalists we should engage when dealing with wisdom traditions of the world. So I'll be talking not only about intervention but about the context where these interventions arise. So this picture is of Maloka, which is a place where plant ingestion sessions are carried, the Ayahuasca rituals among others, like purgative rituals and other kinds of rituals that I've been talking about. And even though so I'm going to introduce also Takiwasi, which is the Center for Rehabilitation of Addictions and a Center for Research in Traditional Medicine, where I worked for 2 years between 2005 and 2007. And my presentation is going to be not about research, but about my experience there and what some of the things that I've learned over there, and just presenting the model and opening it to discussion. Even though I didn't do specific research on these, 2 publications came out of this. One was a book chapter that was called Plant Teachers as a Source of Healing in the Peruvian Amazon. In the book Wild Foresting, Practicing Nature's Wisdom, which is a long and beautiful argument about why we should keep places of the world untouched by human action. And so our chapter is dealing specifically with the healing potential of nature, as Zach was pointing out this morning too. And the other publication was Yoga in Addiction Treatment, because I was part of my work there was doing a yoga workshop 3 times a week with patients in treatment for 2 years. So I just systematized the experience and got it published. So that's something to take with this too, is that we can just organize our very needy experiences and turn it into products that can be out there for sharing. So I wanna share with you a video. This is a trailer of a documentary that is about to be released or just released of Takiwasi treatment as a kind of introductory piece. It seems that it's taking a lot to load, so if we at least get the first 3 minutes, that would be something. All right?
have many habits, many different drugs, all kinds of drugs, but I mostly used cocaine, and I used to cook it, make it into freebase. It's similar to crack, but it's not crack.
I wasn't taking LSD just for fun at first. And then little by little, I became implicated in the LSD scene in Switzerland and the rave scene, and it started becoming something more recreational. I got to a point where I was using it once a week. And yeah, I got lost. I lost the...
J'avais été dans des centres en psychiatrie pour essayer de me soigner, mais je voyais que ça avançait pas. Pour moi, j'avais pas l'impression d'avancer. Des médicaments, dans cet état-là, des choses qui nous met dans des états de fatigue ou qui nous ensuite, ça nous sort pas de nos problèmes, ça nous en sort pas. Et moi, je me voyais en ressortir de leur traitement plus faible que fort.
Le centre Takiwasi est un centre qui est destiné à essayer de faire une conjonction, une articulation entre les apports de médecine traditionnelle, amazonienne surtout, et la psychothérapie occidentale pour élaborer un protocole thérapeutique.
I think that's what we have. The review gives an idea of the ecological context and the mission of the center. Right, so Takiwasi is located in the high Peruvian Amazon. It's about 1 day, 24-hour bus trip from Lima to the northeast. It's in the basin of the Guayaga River. And you could see a little bit of the ecological environment in the video. This is Jacques Mavid, a person that I personally admire very much. He founded this center. He started receiving patients in 1992, but he started to get trained as a curandero with local curanderos, shaman healers, since 1986. And before that, he's been going in different parts of the world, looking for different ways of treating diseases, not just addictions. Actually, he didn't want to deal with addicts, but the vision of working with addicts kept coming in his ayahuasca sessions, and he kind of resisted a lot. And finally said, okay. And that's how the center started receiving patients in 1992, and now I think it's more than 1,000 patients that the center has received for a treatment that goes from 9 to 12 months. So Takiwasi is located in the outskirts of Tarapoto. It's a kind of commercial town that is surrounded by agricultural activities as production of coffee beans, rice, tropical fruit, and tobacco, and most notably for production of coca leaves, and base paste, and cocaine, especially in the 80s and 90s. So most of the cocaine that was produced there was exported to the United States, and the in-between product of that process is base paste, which is very highly toxic neurotoxic and very cheap to get in Tarapoto. So many kids got addicted with basic taste in the process of producing cocaine for the States over 20, 30 years. This was worsened by the politics of wars on drugs, which not only hasn't given any positive results over 25 years, and that's why it's been highly questioned in the later years in South America, but it has made crime linked to narco traffic like skyrocket, like for decades now. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the model of treatment that Takiwasi uses. A centerpiece is the access to modified states of consciousness in a specific context protected by local tradition for the treatment of addictions. In the way that Takiwasi understands addiction is that not only every human being, but every being, whenever possible, modify their consciousness. And I saw it many times with butterflies, for instance, just getting drunk on fermented mango in the Peruvian Amazon. They were just stoned. They stick their tongue in the fermented mango, and you could grab them, leave them down. They weren't realized. But humans are fascinated, particularly in amplifying our understanding of what reality is and what we really are. And addiction is seen as confusing one part of the path with the end of the path. There is a hole in the center of the human being, as we say in Takiwasi, that the addicted person tries to fill with drug, but that hole is never filled. And maybe in a theistic tradition, we could talk about a God-shaped void in the center, or just a thirst for mystery and meaning. I want to highlight the context because after being exposed as a therapist, I was part of the clinical team, and I had to undergo the whole plant treatment several times. So I have to do purgative plants 40 times, at least ayahuasca sessions about 60 times, and so on. And one thing that is really clear for me is that ritual is not an aesthetic process, but it's a very kind of logical and precise procedure to protect the energetic body of the people that are involved in the ritual. And you need competent guides to do that. So I would never do something like this in a context that I'm not sure that it's guided by an adequate guide. The center is operated by licensed professionals, and the treatment is voluntary. People were not accepted. Were not willing to be treated, and unlike other communities to treat addictions, it was run by professionals, and some others is like ex-addicts treating other addicts, at least in South America. Minimal or no use of manufactured pharmaceutical or over-the-counter medication, so people that arrive there with a prescribed medication for any reasons, as we were a team of six psychologists, 3 healers, curanderos, and 2 medical doctors that were also curanderos, we were able to decrease the amount of medicine that people were taking and start using plant medicine, and that worked very well. So in the first months of the treatment, people were not only detoxified from the drugs that they were addicted to, but also from the pharmaceutical drugs that the body was getting all sorts of side effects, as we all know. Of course, it uses the traditional Amazon medicine, and I'm going to focus on that in this presentation. There is an integral view of the person, body, mind, and spirit, inserted in a cultural and social context. There is, we were looking for the autonomy of the patient when leaving the treatment. Many treatment models replace one sort of dependence to a healthier sort of dependence. on God, on an institution, on something else, and the access to spiritual experiences in a context that would give spiritual meaning was hypothesized to fill that void, and so that the person would be able to sustain themselves and their health in the long run. So it searches for a strong intrinsic motivation from the patient. It's a hard treatment. I mean, taking plants is hard work. It's not, doesn't fit any kind of romantic visions of getting high and finding yourself. And I mean, that happens, but it's not a pleasant process. And the model is non-coercive. I don't know if this happens in North America, but in South America, in many therapeutic communities, violence is used. Like when somebody is relapsed or did something wrong, they do things like putting them in the circle and shout insults and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Is that familiar at all?
It used to be. It's
used to be. I think it's declining over there too. The sacred use of plants is not equal to substituting drugs, and by taking plants in for 2 years, I can say that for sure. Like the more you take, the less you want to take it. So it's really a sacrifice to go and do it, because the flavor is very disgusting. It's facing very shadowy aspects of yourself. It's hard work. And Takiwasi doesn't use a hierarchical model of sobriety, so like kind of patients that are 5 or 7 months in the treatment are not in a hierarchical position to the ones that are just started. And abstinence is not the goal of the treatment. Like, I mean, if people remain abstinent of consuming drugs, it's kind of a partial success for this model. But finding the meaning of life at a deeper level, that's the place where the center is aiming for. And there are 3 main axes for the treatment, and we have the ergotherapy work. The ergotherapy, which is all sorts of communal activities, maintenance of the center, cooking and whatnot, that is therapeutically oriented. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. There were many psychotherapeutic interventions, individual therapy, group therapy, creative expression, dream work, post-ayahuasca sessions, and the third axis is the use of plants, and mainly the purges, which are plants to detoxify the organism and also the psyche, because each different purgative plants, and we use about 15 different plants, work in different levels of cleansing. And the ayahuasca, which is of course an important piece of the treatment, and the dietas or diets, which are retreats, solitary retreats in the jungle, that patients had to do 3 of them during their stage of 9 months. And we as therapists, we had to do like every couple of months too. There is this underlying assumption that we're all patients, like we're all healing from something, we all have the same void in the center. Of course, we are in different roles, but we are together vomiting our demons, to put it poetically. So I'm going to talk a little bit about plants, and as I said, there are purging plants, master plants, which are plants that are taken in these retreats in the jungle, in the diets, and the ayahuasca. And we cannot understand the plants without the curanderos or the healers. And here we have Don Luis Curquidon, Winston Tangoa, and Don Ignacio Perez, which Don Luis and Winston are curanderos ayahuasqueros, means that their main speciality is dealing with ayahuasca and that ritual and that healing process. And Don Ignacio Perez is perfumero and tabaquero and icarero, which means that he worked with perfumes, with tobacco, and with icaros, which are songs. Those are the instruments of healing. and we're going to see some pictures of that. So, hope you had a nice lunch. But this is part of reality too. So these are the purging sessions, which last about 7 hours, and like you start at 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. and that goes until the night. And you feel horrible, really, and especially with this lady here, the Yawarpanga, which is kind of the queen of the purgative plants. It's just amazing. But the following day, you feel like you resurrected from death. It's like even what you see is clearer, what you hear sounds sharper, your thoughts are quiet. It's amazing. Here's the Rosa Sisa, and this is the Nardo. I think Rosa Sisa is marigold, maybe, or Taget, which is mixed with tobacco juice, and that's a very strong purge at the mental level that really, really quiets down the mental energy. And Nardo or Azucena is used especially to cleanse sexual energy. It works in this level. So when you're purging, you get images sometimes, or feelings, or memories, and that are associated with these levels that I'm talking about. And so patients during their first 2 months, they purge a lot. Actually, they arrive and they purge every 2 days. And because the first part is mainly detoxification. Very interesting. I think we were talking about this a couple of days ago with Olga, but smells of the body, of even substances that people have ingested up to 10 to 15 years ago and they haven't consumed anymore, arise in the purgative sessions. It's like the quality of the experience gets stored at a molecular level that is even other people can perceive by just smelling the body or the vomit. This is the preparation of ayahuasca, which is also a ritualized process. People cannot get close to where the preparation is done, and the person that cuts the plant is in a sexual abstinence, and there is a healer that comes and sings a couple of times a day while the plant is prepared. And the preparation, the ayahuasca concoction that we can see over there that boils for about 12 hours, it's a mixture actually. It's a mixture of the ayahuasca vine, or Banisteriopsis caapi, which is a vine that grows in all the Amazon basin area. And it's a mix of this and the chacruna, or Psychotria viridis, which is a plant that in this, how do you call this in English? Like little pots? But yeah, here it stores dimethyltryptamine, DMT, that I think, yeah, I have this slide to explain a little bit better this. Chacruna alone or ayahuasca vine alone wouldn't produce the effect that both things together produce. And as you can imagine, it's not that in the Amazon jungle there's not a chacruna bush right next to an ayahuasca vine, like growing together, like very orderly. Actually, they grow at different altitudes. So it's still a mystery how people found out that this very specific combination could produce this amazingly special concoction. Why they have to be together, if we wanted to reduce this a little bit to chemistry, the ayahuasca vine has alkaloids like carbonyls, amines, and harmolines structure that functions as inhibitors of the monoamine oxidase. You say that in English? Monoamine oxidase. And these inhibitors of the monoamine oxidase prevent tryptamine to be metabolized when you ingest it orally. Because if you would just ingest the DMT, that would get metabolized and wouldn't have any effect because of the monoamine oxidase. But this inhibits that process, so the DMT has the effect on consciousness. It's a very, very precise. So trial and error, probably not. And what the healers say is that the they learn from the plants themselves how to mix them, where to find them, and who could benefit from each plant combination. And they get these messages in the diets, which are not 8 days long like we do or the patients do, but these are 3 months, 6 months in isolation in the forest, taking master plants in sexual abstinence, not having sugar or salt, and many other restrictions that I will talk about in a minute. Am I going to fast? Is this fine? And I wanted to share especially today a little bit of the phenomenology of the ayahuasca experience, as the patients take ayahuasca once a week from month 2 to month 7, more or less, unless when they are in diet where they have a 3-week period of not mixing with ayahuasca. So every time there is an ayahuasca sessions, people have to drop some of their visions the next morning, and then later we have the post-ayahuasca workshop, like every week, to process what emerges, because it's not only the experience that is, the experience alone doesn't have the transformative power if it's not worked through or processed. So people think that they will take pills of pharmahuasca and they will get cured of things. So these are some of the visions of the patients. Specifically, this is related to the sense of catharsis, of purging, of letting go. Even sometimes they feel they let go of entities that have possessed them for a while. They say that the bucket is the best friend of Takiwasi's visitors and patients, because you're always hiding your bucket. Visions of oneself. Visions about addiction. The hidden serpent. The serpent appears a lot in the phenomenology of the ayahuasca experience as a medicatrix force, healing power. And this is kind of cross-cultural, because in Takiwasi we had patients, of course, from Peru, but also from Asia, from Europe, from the States, and you can find the serpent appearing all the time. Finding existential meaning. So it's not all suffering, fortunately. But both ends are related in the ayahuasca session. You usually have to look deeply in what needs to be seen and healed to access meaning or possibility. So that was just to give you a taste of what people might experience in the ayahuasca session. This is the diet. I managed to sneak in a photo camera for this, my second diet. That was my tambo. This is the place you live for 8 days. There are no walls. There is a hammock inside and a mosquito screen, so you can survive. And that's the food that you get. It's plantain, boiled usually, or white rice, and you get that once a week if you're not fasting, once a day if you're not fasting. And fasting is not that difficult really, because you do nothing literally. I mean, you have to walk to the river once a day to wash yourself, but the rest of the time you're in your hammock, doing nothing. You cannot carry books, you cannot carry any piece of technology, not even a watch. You cannot bring candles or anything. You cannot bring soap or detergent or toothpaste, anything that has smell, anything that has taste. And the body being in touch with nature restarts, like reboots itself. It's like getting all the healing energy from the natural world while you are taking a master plant, and that specific plant is designated to you by the therapeutic team formed by the psychologists, doctors, and curanderos regarding what you need in terms of your physical health, psychological health, and energetic health at that moment. So, and you get interesting visitors when you're there. Iguanas can come, sometimes snakes. Nobody has died of being in diet. But it's a very interesting experience. It's very hard. It's actually the opposite than addiction. You have nothing to fill yourself up with. You're just there with yourself, and all sort of stuff that you haven't thought in ages comes up. You're not after the second night you're not sleepy anymore. So waking life and dream become very close, and dreams becomes as crisp as watching a movie. You wake up in the morning and you recall like every detail in Technicolor. Interesting what happens when you're not overstimulated, as Zach described in the morning. So it's a process of isolation, no ingestion of salt, sugars, or fats. This is supposed to open the energetic body. When you don't take salt, you don't take sugar, your energetic body opens to the healing forces of nature, and anything that needs to go out goes out too. There is a daily ingestion of a master plant. The only person that can visit you in the forest is the healer that brings you the plant, and also the psychologist, like me and others. We would visit every other day to check in, and we as visitors, even we were only half an hour, 40 minutes with them, we had to be in sexual abstinence. We had to avoid certain foods before going there because that could cross the diet, like affect the process. And so the diet has cleansing physical effects, centering psychological effects, spontaneous meditative states, dream stimulation followed by insights and intense memory recall. It's always surprising for me that what patients thought as most powerful part of the treatment were the diets, not the ayahuasca or not other things, just being on their own, facing their own stuff without the possibility of running away. How am I doing? Beyond already?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Can I have 5?
Yes.
Finish? No?
Wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
Wrap it up, okay. These were some of the master plans that were used and the effects. Other energetic interventions like the tobacco blow, the perfume blow, baths in the river. The master is singing to the water to take the bad energies away from the body of the patient. Ergotherapy, as I said, is working. By working, you learn to cooperate, to finish products, start and finish something, be responsible, be honest, learn skills too, very practical things for patients when they're going out. And therapeutic approaches is mostly what we psychologists did there: individual therapy, group therapy, other body-mind therapies. I will show some of them, like karate, rock climbing, I was in charge of meditation and yoga at the time. I'm really going fast now. Some other rituals, even a patient getting married, the yoga workshop, fancy yoga mats, eh? So, just to sum up the results from people that finish the treatment, they recover in 67% of the case, which compared to the conventional, with this kind of patients, these are patients that have been in addiction for 15 years average with multiple drugs. So the comparison with the conventional treatment is like 15 to 20% recovery, so 67 is pretty good. Level 2 means sometimes consume drugs and the unstable jobs and kind of life not really coming together yet, and 18% that we just don't know, or they're kind of fully relapsed. And this is one of the patients. He authorized me to share this picture, but please don't make a zoom. This is before and after the treatment, and I just like to, I feel that the eyes say much more than graphics sometimes. Thank you.
This, because the assignment was to maybe talk about a dissertation project. What was it
Right.
like going through this again?
It was great. I've been feeling more and more that I haven't shared this experience enough, and the couple of times that I've done it, like, people are very happy about it, and I get happy about this. So I decided to find spaces to share about this a little bit more. So it was just wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.